I'm Caleb Harris, and this is my new toy. It's a 12-inch jointer made around the turn of the last century. I'm going to tell you the story about how I got it, how I set it up, and what it does.
Like many good and some questionable stories, this started with a Craigslist ad in St. Louis, 5 hours from Memphis where I live. But fortunately, my wife and I both enjoy St. Louis, so we made a fun weekend of it. The gentleman I bought this from said that this belonged to his grandfather, who liked to mill his own lumber. From his research, he thinks that it was manufactured in the late 1890s, which does match with what I could find out about the company. My guess is that his grandfather is also the person who replaced the original Babbitt bearings with ball bearings and installed the direct drive 1.5 horsepower motor. After I finished reassembling it in my shop, I used a wire wheel and my angle grinder to remove the surface rust from the beds and vents before coating them with some paste wax to protect and lubricate them.
For a joiner to work properly, it's essential that the beds are coplanar. Now, it's easiest to understand coplanar by talking about what isn't coplanar. So, if we have these two boards and this represents the in feed and this is the out feed, this not coplanar, not coplanar, not coplanar. I think you get the idea. Whereas if they line up perfectly and you can put a straight edge across them, now that's coplanar. Still coplanar if we pull them apart. And then if we represent what a joiner really does and lower the in feed under the out feed, this is coplanar. Now in our joiner we have knives on a cutter head in the gap between the in feed and out feed table. And with the in feed table lower than the out feed table, what happens is anything that we feed across the in feed table, let's pretend it's still there, is gonna hit this out feed table because the in feed table is lower. Those knives remove the difference and allow the stock to just pass across onto the outfeed table. And that's how you can use a joiner to take defects out of wood like cup and twist and warp. You just pass it over the knives enough time and eventually you'll have a flat surface. I'm going to get my beds coplanar by raising my outfeed table above the knives so they don't get in the way and higher than my infeed table, then putting a straight edge referenced off the outfeed table over the infeed table and using some feeler gauges and adjusting the points that the infeed table rides on until I get the same measurement in every spot under that straight edge, and then I'll know that my beds are coplanar.
I replaced the box and switch because I needed to change the orientation of the wires coming into the box, and I just really recommend using magnetic switches on machines. They can only be closed when a current is running through the switch. That means the switch automatically goes to the off position if there is a power interruption, and the machine can't turn itself on when you plug it in if the switch was left in the on position. I also really like the oversized off switch paddle that comes on these, which makes it really easy to cut the machine off.
One thing I do really need to do, but not in this video, is put a guard on this. Haven't settled on a design. There's a bunch of threaded holes along the side here, probably from a previous guard. I'm gonna have to fabricate something. I have a few ideas in mind. Frank Howarth went through something like this, so I'm gonna check his video again, maybe get some ideas. So look forward to that. But the only thing left really is to test it. So let's put a board through it. Oh, and in addition to getting a guard, I need to get some proper push blocks. But for a test, these will keep my hand away from the blade to make sure I'm safe. This is some Spanish cedar I used when I made the humidor. I'll throw a card up to that video. And I resawed this on the bandsaw, so it's got some striations on it from that. So let's give it a shot, see what type of finish this thing will put on this rough side. Get you in on this. All right, so still got some cuts on the ends, but in the middle here, man, that is smooth. That feels good. There's no lines. The blades are still in good shape. So, yeah, that's some exciting stuff right there. Now, the only thing left is to check my 90. Let's do this edge. Yeah, that's 90. One of the things I forgot to talk about was as soon as I got it together, I used this dial indicator gauge with a magnetic base to test the blades, and I saw that the blades were in line with the outfeed table, and that's why I used the outfeed table as the reference to get coplanar with the infeed table. So if you saw me miss that step, you're probably thinking, hey, that guy didn't check his blades. Well, I did, I just forgot to show it. I really enjoy using this thing. There's something nostalgic about using really old tools that have a story. If you have any old tools you really like using, please tell me about them in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. If you want to support me, I have a Patreon, or you can just hit that share button and share this on any of your favorite social media platforms. Thank you.